Today we are creating a fortress and I'm going to show you how to make this. It comes complete with a gorgeous outside and a completely decorated inside with sleeping areas, we've got armories, we've got places to eat, and if we go down the stairs, we have got a fully packed cellar. This castle is part of my Avomance creative world, which gets updated every single month for my Redstone patrons and above to be able to download in Bedrock and Java. This is what I've done so far. It's coming along pretty well, I think. But this video isn't about the rest of Avomance. This is about how to build a fortress by the sea, and I hope you really enjoy it. Let me know in the comments below if you do, and if you do enjoy it, maybe consider hitting that like button and the subscribe button. It costs you absolutely nothing and really helps out the channel. Let's crack on with it. And this Avo of the future is going to have to go back in time to Avo of the past so we can make a start. And this looks like a perfect spot. Plenty of room to landscape around it, plus it's on the water so we can bring ships up to it too. Let's crack on. This is your template. It's pretty regular. We've got a rectangle in the middle there that is 27 by 32 blocks across, and each of those towers is 13 blocks in diameter. It will look smaller from the inside because these are the outer walls. Wherever the template is hanging over an edge, it needs to come down to the floor. And any blocks that are not stone but are part of the wall are going to have to get changed. Just like that. We'll texture them up later. So that's looking all right, but I do need to get myself a floor. This area here is going to be the basement level. This is not going to be the entrance level. This castle is going to have an entrance level on the first floor. And to make this floor, I'm going to make it super quick for myself. I'm going to go // fill. I'm going to make it stone. I'm going to give it a diameter of 50 so it literally fills everything. And I'm going to go down maybe, let's say, 10 blocks. And if I press go, that's going to fill up that with stone. I'm going to kill a number of chickens. I've got gaps where there was grass and myself and flowers, but that's okay. I can just fill those in manually. That is a lot quicker than doing it myself. And on the inside, we're going to line it with stripped oak wood. So it should look like that, although these little jut outs are actually officially internal walls. So let's bring those out like that all the way around. That's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm now going to get that dark oak log and I'm going to place one there, put 1, 2, 3, 4 gap, one there, 1, 2, 3, 4 gap, one there. Then hopefully I've done this right. 1, 2, 3, 4 gap and one there. Yes, I have. Thank goodness for that. I can count. Then I'm going to put one there, 1, 2, 3, 4 and a gap. 1, 2, 3, 4 and a gap, and I'm going to do that on these other two sides as well. And between these dark oak logs, I'm going to place a barrel there, and there, and there, and then between them, I'm going to place a double chest like that. There, I'm not going to open it up. There, and there. I'm going to do that all the way along. So double chests in the middle, like that, and then barrels go in there like that. By the time we've finished, we're going to have plenty of room in this cellar. And I'm now going to pick two opposite corners of the castle. It doesn't matter which two, I'm just going to pick these two. And I want to find the center, so that's this bit and that bit. So just check, yep, we're in the center. And we're going to make a 3 by 3 square out of these logs, and I'm just going to come and do it over the other side as well. So just like that. And then I'm going to get slabs, and I'm going to place a slab halfway along just here, and I'm going to take it all the way to the side, and I'm going to place another slab up there as well, and I'm going to keep that level like that. I'm going to place another log there, and I'm going to place a slab up to that level to the side, and we're going to carry on doing that up to the next level, but we've got to do it on both sides. So we've got the beginnings of spiral staircases in opposite corners. Now the other two corners, they're going to act as more storage. But before we do that, we're going to bring the walls up another couple of blocks all the way around. That's fab, and now we can bring this up one more level as well to try and get the steps just a wee bit higher. Now, in one of these towers, we are going to create a little library effect, and with that, we're going to make ourselves a bit of an enchanting station. Now, it's not going to be your standard square. We're going to make it a little bit thicker than that square, so as we've got a proper library. But in reality, all we're doing is really putting an enchanting table in there. We're just going to build it up with plenty of bookshelves. I'm pretty happy with that. We've got a nice looking library. I've placed in some empty bookshelves so we can do enchanted book storage. I've also placed in some looms that are on the side because they might quite a nice bookshelf, I think. Brought in some anvils, obviously a grindstone, plenty of storage, scaffold with a lamp on to keep it light. We'll do something with the floor, but I have placed in 3 more barrels across there. And in the opposite corner, we're going to come to the center again, which is that one, but we're just going to make a single pillar that is 3 high, and that's just going to be a supporting pillar. We don't actually want to do anything with it like steps. And on this side, we're going to grab ourselves just a little bit of shelving, because we're going to need to put things on here like this. Okay, in fact, this one, let's get rid of that one. We're going to place those stairs there, and that in the middle, and that gives us a bit of a workbench. We can then get some more steps and place it there. So that is a seat. That's looking fantastic. We can then start to place some other blocks around. I'm going to put in a crafting table there. I'm going to put in a scaffold in there with a lamp on it. We can maybe put in some pictures and some other storage. There's all sorts of things we could do here. Do what you want if you're following this as a tutorial. And I think this is a great start. We've got some furnaces in. We've got plenty of storage. We've got various crafting areas. We've got a little bit of decoration, some light, and also a work area with a little bit of food. And I thought I'd just top it off just to overcut that a little bit to make it more of an enclosed workspace. I am going to do more detailing in here, but we need to get the lid on. And before we do that, we've got to do quite a lot more. For example, leave these up at least another 2 spots. And I've alternated the way the barrels go up as well. So some to the sides, some to the front, some to the air. So it just makes it look a little bit more natural. Also on the shorter end, I've made them some smaller chests as well as large chests, because sometimes when you store stuff, you only want a small chest worth of it. I don't know, you decide, do it the way you want. We now need to come back to these corner stairs, because we've got to decide how high they're going to go before they get back to the entranceway. So we're going to do it 1 level at a time. My gut tells me this is probably 2 more levels. So if we come up to the side, that's going to go there, there, and there. We're going to need another level up to come to the next level, like that, and then that's going to come up there, there, and there. Then that stays that level there. That comes up. Now, before I put any pillars into here, I don't want to obscure the floor because I need to do a little bit of work with it. I've got 2 brushes, one with more cobblestone, which looks a little bit like that, with a little bit of mossy cobblestone in it, which I'm going to place in both of those areas there. It's got just a little bit of stone brick, not too much, but it's masked for stone, so I can double that up like that, and I can bring this along and double that up like that. I'm then going to get this other sword, and I can put non-mossy area in with lots more of the stone to give myself a more textured floor like this. That's exactly what I'm looking for. We've got a little bit of moss where people have come from upstairs. They're maybe bringing in a little bit of moisture, so the moss is on that cobble there, but it doesn't go very far into the room, and it just keeps a nice, steady but slightly random texture of mostly stone brick, a bit of andesite, a tiny little bit of cobble, keeping some of the normal stone. I just felt that makes sense. Now what I want to do is to create some kind of support that comes in and goes across the floor. The ceiling is going to have a lot of weight placed on it, and we don't want that to fall in. So even though Minecraft physics isn't a thing, we want to pretend that it is. I'd like this to be very basement-like, very cellar-like, which means it's going to have a number of archways and ornate bends in it. So if I place these upside down steps all the way around here, one there, and one there, that means what I can now do is I can place a step there, and a step there, which will also allow me to do one final step there, and that creates the kind of beginnings of an archway. And if I do that on all of these, I can start to build in some structure. So I reckon 2 pillars in the center should be enough. I've placed in these bits here just to make sure that we've got the pillars in the right spots. Otherwise I'll only mess it up and have to start again, which is terrible. And I'm going to make these pillars, I think it's 6 tall, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tall on both sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I can then, on the 4th block up, look, 1, 2, 3, and 4, on this side, 1, 2, 3, and 4, place that there, that there, that there, and that there. And similarly, 1, 2, 3, and 4, that can go there, that can go there, that can go there, that can go there. We can then build up these arches on these sides as well. They're not going to be touching at the top, obviously, but that's fine. We don't want them to. They're an arch. They're not a triangle. And we're going to do that on all of these sides. This one here, that's going to be a lot smaller because they're kind of in between each other, but that's okay. We can just build that out like that. That can come like that and make a little tiny arch in the middle, and we can do something with the area on top. Now, I think that's looking really nice. What I did decide to do, because I decided it wasn't archway enough, is I'm popping in a whole block there first and then an upside down block like that, which gives a much nicer archway. It's not quite so angular. I quite like the curve of that. So that's what we've done. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to place some upside down steps around the top of this. Bear in mind that the top of this here is the level of the floor. Now that means I can take that out, replace that with that block, and then the floor is continuously all spruce, which I like the idea of. So again, on this side, all the way around to give an upside down step, and then remove that out and place it in a plank, which means that I've got a continuous floor. It also gives a really nice little pattern that we've got here as part of that decoration for those towers. So before I put the ceiling onto this room, I just want to place in a little bit more decoration. So I'm going to place scaffolding all the way along there. I'm going to place it all the way along this side as well. And on top of those scaffolds, I'm going to place a barrel all the way along on each side. And once I've got them all the way along on each side, I'm going to get myself a tripwire hook. I'm going to place, using shift, that there all the way along. So now we've got some wine barrels going on. That's definitely what you'd want in your basement. I've added in some lights and a chest at each end, and I've also got some barrels in the middle just to give it a little bit more height. I'm also going to place it in a stone button on here, and the same around on the outside as well. There and there, just to give again a little bit of structure. I'll just have that one that I knocked off there. Thank you very much. Right, I'm also going to get myself some table. I think I fancy a table. 1, 2, 3, a 4 wide table here. So if I place that there and that there, I can then place that upside down like that and that upside down like that. Get rid of those two and then place those along. So that gives an indented table feeling like that. And then going to make this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, 8 wide. So I'm going to go and put one there. Put that upside down like that. That can go there. That can go there. And that there. And then in between, I can get some slab and place the slab across to create a really large dark oak table. On this, I'm going to be placing some various bits and pieces, but on one of them, I'm going to put one on the other side as well. I think I'm going to put a map that shows where we are right here. The map will go on. I'll create the map at the end once it's finished. So I think the decor in here is now done. We've got 2 tables with various bits and pieces on them. I lit some candles as well because I thought that felt very medieval. Just for interest, I've also popped some chests underneath here. I lit up behind it so they kind of glowed out. I've decided we're not going any deeper than this, so we don't need to keep that open. Similarly on this side, we've also done the same. In here, I've placed myself a little ender chest. I've popped some bits on top of that shelf there. I'm going to raise this up another 3 blocks. This is going to have on top of it, let's grab one of those, exactly the same way as the other one. We're going to place those 4 like that. We're going to knock that out. We're going to take this and pop that in there, so that now also can form part of that floor. And then finally, what I want to do is I want to add just a little bit more detailing before we put the floor on in here. So we're going to put upside down steps across here and there and all the way around here. This is exactly how I'd imagined it would look. We need to replace in these, take those out, that and pop in some solid blocks there. They can't be seen, but they are going to form part of the floor, so that needs to be regular. So I'll do that here as well, and all the other places where we've got the top of those logs. Also, just fiddled around with the inside of it, decorated it out a little bit, put some pots, some lanterns, some extra chests, that kind of thing. And on the opposite side, we've done something similar, where we put in some extra candles, some extra shelving, and I've also trimmed up that pillar and made it 6 high with a top and a bottom. I can now put the floor in so as it is solid all the way across. Now, if you're doing this in survival, you'll have to do this next step manually, but I'm not. I'm doing it with world edit. So I come in from one pillar from my stair pillar, diagonally, select that as position 1, come all the way across to the other pillar, select that as position 2. That gives me the diagonals along those walls, exactly what I'm wanting. And then what I need to do is I need to do // set and then spruce _ slab. So this one. But if I just type enter now, that's just going to turn it into a bottom slab. That's not what I want. So I need to go type equals top, close that up, and bang. Now that I'm going to have to pay the price here, because that's going to have changed some of these blocks that I've got underneath here. For example, it's knocked out all of the stairs, etc. that I've done here. That's not what I want. So I'm going to have to replace those again, but I know where they're meant to be, so that's okay. I'll show you exactly what I mean. So this here used to be a step. It is now a slab, so I've got to change that into a step. This one here used to be a whole block. Well, I'm going to change that into a whole block. This one here used to be a step again. Change that back into a step. It also had a lantern attached to it, so I'll pop that back. So now, if I come down the stairs, it's looking pretty blooming fancy underneath here. It's exactly what I was hoping it would be. A little bit dark and dingy, really ornate, lots of space, loads of storage. It's exactly what a storage cellar should look like. It's not a dungeon, so it's not horrible. It's not got any cobwebs or anything like that. It's kept nice and clean, but it looks fab. So this little fort castle is already quite imposing on the landscape. Very, very regular looking, and we're going to deal with that, but still quite imposing. What we're going to do now is bring up this next level, which means we've got to bring up the steps, another load of levels. We've also got to bring up these towers and all of these edges, another load of levels. But I don't want it to be just straight up. I do want to kind of build it out ever so slightly between the towers. So what I'm going to do between the towers, just in one straight line, I'm going to place some upside down steps along here on that edge, and then similarly on the other three edges. And what this does is allows me to bring my internal walls in one just here. Ignore that stripe of wood, we're going to be covering that up. So it looks like that, which means we can then come all the way around the outside, running across these upside down steps and around the towers with our stone brick. Again, we are going to be texturing up this stone brick very, very shortly, so it's not going to be this solid one colour. Now everything is up that one extra block high, including the towers in the middle of the stairs. Now I want to increase the height of this by another 7 or 8 blocks, and they're all going to be identical, exactly the same on every layer. So I'm just going to do this nice and quickly. I'm going to select that block there. I'm going to come along and select this block here. I then need to get rid of the blocks, otherwise they'll be in the selection. Come along here, forgot to knock this one out, never mind. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to // copy that, so all of my blocks are now inside my boundary. I'm then going to do // stack. I'm going to go, let's say, another 7 levels and up, and that is going to automatically put 7 exactly the same things up on top of each other. That's exactly what I was looking for. So now I've got all my walls up. I want to be able to get myself a staircase up to the next level exactly the same way. I'm going to bring these across, I'm going to bring these across, and then I'm going to place here, I'm going to put the level exactly the same as I did last time. And then I'm going to come up one, and we're going to carry that on both sides all the way to the end. And this level here is going to be a mezzanine level. So I'm just going to bring it out as a kind of square there. Bring it out like that. But I don't want this to go all the way across because I want to be able to see down the middle. So I'm going to take this line and I'm going to bring it all the way across here until it meets the wall on the other end, like that. I'm going to take this line here also, I'm going to bring this all the way across, and anything inside these lines is going to get filled in, and anything down the middle of it is not going to get filled in. I'm going to do the same cross on the other side. Let's fill it in. So that mezzanine level is set in. I'm just going to curve this corner around ever so slightly, just with 3 slabs like that in all of these corners, and then around this entire mezzanine level we're going to be putting ourselves a fence. I'm using dark oak because it just offsets a little bit from the spruce really nicely, and that's going to be all the way around to stop anybody falling down. And by anybody, you know I mean me. That's looking fab. So before we build anything in here, we're going to need to start putting in some windows. I want windows in here, so it's definitely the time to do that now. So if I punch that out and that out, that out and that out, that gives me the position for my first window, and then I want to have it exactly the same distance from the edge on this side, so 2 in. This gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 blocks. So if I have missing 3, punch those 2 out, and then at the other side missing 3, 2, 3, and then punch those 2 out. That gives me 2 in the middle of that, and I quite like the way that looks. We're going to repeat that on this side. Then we've got this end as well. Again, coming in, what was it? 1, 2 from the edge, those 2 out. Come this side, 2 from the edge, those 2 out, and then I'm just going to pop the ones right in the middle out as well. And looking at them from the outside, I think it's a good idea to make these ones 1 block higher, just to add a little bit of kind of symmetrical asymmetry to it. And similarly, the shorter side, that needs to come up as well. And I'm going to be using iron bars to block up these windows. I think we're going to do it on the outer bit, on the actual stone and not on the wood. That means I can place something on the inside of the wood that will look quite nice. I'll do that all the way around. And I think candles in the windows here would look great. So I'm going to put 4 candles on all of the outer edges, which means there's 2 in the middle of the longer ones and 1 in the middle of the shorter ones. Now I reckon this should be a kind of a throne room. So the first thing I'm going to do is build up just a little platform along this bit here. So I'm just going to place these blocks all the way along. I'm going to bring it out probably 1 beyond that wall, because I might extend that wall. I decided to make this dais an extra 2 blocks long and then bowed it out with a couple of extra steps to make it look, well, a little bit more grand, I guess. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the table on it. So I'm going to come to the center. So that's of these 5, there's 3. That's why I did 2, because there's a center pillar now. I'm going to come away 2, and then I'm going to pop that there. I'm going to come away 1, 2, and pop that there. I can then come behind it, place that up that way, come behind it here, that up that way, get rid of those because I want to make myself a big old table that is there, and similarly on this side and there. I can then fill in the gap with some top slabs, and that is a big old table for someone to sit at with the windows behind them, which in a fort might not be the most secure way of doing things, but let's face it, there is some metal there, so hopefully no arrows in the back for the garrison leader. So here we've got the top table for the garrison. All of the commanders sat there. I've put a red banner behind so it looks like they've got a bit of a cushion. They're all eating chicken. The candles are there, and I think that looks all right with the banner for the actual garrison being all the way around the back. What I need to do now is create the dining area for all of the people that are going to be eating here, because the garrison needs soldiers, right? This looks like a real banquet. We've got loads of tables, 4 tables, each one of them sitting, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12 people. So there's 48 soldiers worth of stuff, which is all right for a garrison with only 4 commanders. That's 12 per commander. That makes sense. They've got their beer and their wine at the barrels at the front, plus some extra fish if any of them finish early. We've got lighting on the tables. Everybody's got a drink. I really like the way this has come out. I do, however, need to add just a little bit more to the walls, perhaps some more of these banners, some lighting, and then this level is done. Well, I say the level's finished. I have decorated up the walls, but we also had to do something in here, didn't we? Because this is an armory. We've got to get them fed, we've got to get them armoured, and we've got to get them weapons. So that end is where all the archers are, and this end is where all the infantry are. So as we come up to this level here, we need to get a garrison commander's office in. Plus, everybody's got to have somewhere to sleep. So that's where this is going to be. Garrison commander's office is going to be at this end, where there is a much smaller entrance, a little bit more private. Over that side, it's going to be sleeping areas for officers, and the rest of it is going to be sleeping areas for everyone else. I've increased the height of the walls by another 6 blocks, making this a total of 8. And we're going to bring the garrison commander's office in here. He's going to want a table that's facing kind of outwards, isn't he? So if I place a block there, I can put that there like that, and then bring a table that's maybe only 2 wide, because he's not going to want loads, is he? If I get 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then add the end of the table there, I think that's a big enough table for him. He doesn't need anything more than that, does he? His chair can go right there. What we can also do is stick a door in there, and it gives his chair a back, and I'm going to put, with shift click, a little banner on there which gives him a cushion. If only you could place the banner on the back, but it don't work. Look, it comes out sideways. That's no good. So we need to make this look a little bit more opulent with decorations. They're going to be plants, shelves, storage, maybe some paintings can go in there. This area here, it's not an office, it's a sleeping area, but sleeping area for the officers, so it needs 4 beds, including the commander, because I don't think he wants to sleep in his office. So that's got to look nice. And then this has just got to look like it's got a load of beds in it. So we've got a nice sleeping area for the officers, an opulent office, and then we have got the sleeping areas for the rest of the troops. What I've not done is put anything here, because I'm an idiot. I haven't actually put an entrance to the fort, which, you know, makes it impregnable, I suppose, but it's not really what we're trying to do. This level has the office there, so it makes kind of sense to do it right here. So we're going to bash out a door that is 3 by 3 here. We're going to make it wider, but we have to make some kind of platform here to be able to get in and out of the fort. So let's do that. So I've created a little platform here. We're coming out through this door. We've got 3 blocks wide here. I might actually just pop those blocks in there just for a little bit of safety. We're then coming down 2 steps. Again, I may bring these along here just for a little bit of safety of not falling over. That's always a good idea. And then we've got a 4 block wide platform here. This is 4 block wide because it means that we can sneak past here with 3 blocks and have an extra block. We're then going to build ourselves downstairs on these 4, just literally coming down 1 and 2 and continuing down all the way to floor level. So I've put in a staircase up on the side, all stone brick at the moment except for some carved stone that I've put along the edges. This stone brick is going to get textured, don't you worry. A little bit of light just to show you the way. We do need to ornate up this doorway just a little bit, so I'm going to use some wood posts to do that. Inside here we need to create some dark oak pillars. So if I get some dark oak wood, that's spruce. Have I got any dark oak? Yes I do. Dark oak there. We're going to be changing up these end pillars into dark oak like that, and these are going to become support pillars for the roof, which is going to come on top right here. But please do note, if you're following along as a tutorial, I've extended this wall out, so both of these end walls now 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the dark oak pillar. Same on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then dark oak pillar, because that's going to help us out when we bring the roof over. I've replaced the end part of this internal wall with a dark oak pillar, and that's come up 3 blocks above the current height of the wall. This one here has come up 6 blocks above the current height of the wall, and that is true on all sides. We're going to ignore the towers at the moment, because what we want is we want to build up the skeleton, almost like the upside down hull of a boat across here. This is going to go up and across. This is going to go up and across, and hopefully that will give us something that we can build the roof on. So the internal structure is now in place. I'm going to put cross beams across now, because that's the whole point of this. So we're going to come to the center. I'm going to place a beam in there, and I'm going to bring it all the way across. Otherwise it's just an external roof on the inside, so we want to be able to see these beams. This is a castle, for goodness sake. And then we come out there, and then I'm going to come out another 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think 5 blocks there. Come out the other side, come out 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 blocks. I'm then going to cross beam across here as well, all the way along. And I'm going to do another cross beam at this level on the longer frame too. So come in this side, so not going to the top of that frame, but there, and do a cross beam across this way. So that's our frame. We just want to soften the edges a little bit. I'm going to pop in some steps under and over, only over where there's a gap, obviously, there and underneath that one. And the same at this side. I'm then going to use some chains to bring down a light. We're going to come down quite a long way with the chains. I'm going to go 5, 6, 7 on that one, and come on this side and do 7 on this one as well. I've also come down in the center 11 chains. That is one seriously long chain, but that's okay. That's what I'm looking for. I'm then going to get myself some iron bars. I'm going to place an iron bar on the bottom of that. I'm going to come out in all 4 directions. 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. And this is going to be my lamp frame, if you like, for the center. And then at the end of each of these chains, I'm going to place a lantern. So 1 there, 1 underneath this one, 1 underneath this one at the end. And then on here, I'm going to put 1 on the end of each of these parts of the iron bars. And that makes a nice little chandelier effect in the middle. It's quite in your face for that level, but I don't mind. That's going to give us enough light to cover up this. But I think what I'm also going to do is I'm going to place some carpet across the top of these beams just to make absolutely sure nothing can spawn. So our carpet's down, that's non-spawnable. We need to now start to get the roof on. Now we're going to need to do the tower roofs first, and that's because the roof is going to kind of go in and past the towers. So I need to block off the top of the tower and then build in a roof. So I'm just going to use some slabs. I'm going for dark oak just because that's what's in my hand, and that's what the roof is going to be. So it should all merge into one. I'm going to fill in all of these tower roofs. The towers are defined and the roofs are there for the internals. Now this isn't a castle, so I'm not up here getting turrets and walkways. I just want to build in some roofs. So I've got to bring these towers up just a little bit taller. I think another 6 or 7 levels. We're going to go for accented spruce for the roofs of the whole thing, I think. So what we're going to do is we're going to get an upside down spruce step in the center of each of these faces just to give us something to work off of. because they're very, very accessible. And then we're going to bring in spruce step there, and we're going to go just around with the spruce step. It's going to look very regular to start with, but we'll kind of rough it up a little bit once we're on. So that's the first layer done. I've trimmed this in here with some spruce planks, and then I'm going to come in again with steps all the way around. I don't want this to be a really pointy turret, but neither do I want it to end up being a turret that's just diagonally up and down, because that would look absolutely rubbish. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this in slowly to start with, and then speed it up as we go. And I'll show you what I mean in just a second once I get all the way around here. So I've put in the steps all the way around, and once I've done that, what I'm able to do is I'm able to bring in another block onto each of these areas here. But on top of these blocks, I'm actually going to place a block and not steps, which means it's going to increase the angle that we've got for bringing this roof up. And that will make it slightly less interesting to look at, and hopefully make a lot more sense. I've missed a step there. That needs to go like that. Perfect. So again, if I put a block there, block there, block there, and bring these blocks up all the way around, then on top of these I'll put some steps, and we'll gradually increase the height of the roof like that. I'm just repeating this process over and over to get myself a structure that's looking now a little bit more pointy, but not fairy tale like pointy. So you can see we've got these stairs are going up. I've placed the middle as a block and not a step, because then on top of that I can place a step just to make it slightly more angled there. That's great. And we can start to put in some slabs in these little gaps here as well. One, that stops it being spawnable, and two, it also just increases the way the gamble of the thing comes along. We can get rid of that and turn that into a slab, get rid of that, turn that into a slab, turn that into a slab, and turn that into a slab, and just keep on going until you've kind of got the shape that you want. See, that looks a little bit square, so let's get rid of that and make those slabs, and that will make that less square, which makes it more interesting to look at. So that's one of the towers right there. I'm just going to underpin another couple with upside down steps all the way around these edges as well. And that's what it looks like with all 4 turrets on. And we're now going to use dark oak to bring in the actual roof to the top. So we're going to come in here, and this is going to be our starting level. We're going to bring dark oak all the way along, and then we're going to come up 1 level, bring normal oak along here, and then we're going to carry on for the entirety of the roof. What we're then going to do is we're going to rough it up by placing in either some blocks or some different colours, just to make it look a little bit more interesting. So we're just using a standard 12-12 gable shape here, but when you get up to the level of these towers, you can then start to come across, so as we cover up the roof all the way along, because what we don't want is these towers having big holes just at the edges of the roof, and as we come up further, the roof will continue on out past the end of that wall. And I'm going to bring in some deep slate brick. The colour of the deep slate brick just works so well with the dark oak, so I'm just going to exactly line it up with that dark oak roof all the way up to the top, just to give it a bit of a trim. Otherwise the dark oak itself just kind of stops and it's a little bit dead, and you need a little bit more life put into a roof like that. And I'm going to extend this dark oak beam so it is level with 1 short of the deep slate, so 1 spruce step and then the deep slate, so it's a single block on each end. And I'm going to use that deep slate trim along the edge as well, and underneath that trim I'm going to place some light. I just want to put a little bit of light to give an effect rather than stop anything from spawning, so I'm going to place 1 at each end and then 1 right in the middle like that. That just gives that slight glow that I really enjoy with these shaders. And we now need to rough the roof up just a little bit by replacing some of these steps with some blocks, but we want to give it a bit more texture as well. So not only are we going to be using dark oak planks, we're also going to bring in a little bit of stripped dark oak as well. And that gives a very slightly different texture. You can see it's almost like a smearing effect. Do it in clumps, so as you've got a nice area of that. It's probably been weathered, so it makes sense for it all to be in the same place, something like that. And do it over the entire roof. So that's kind of what I mean. We've avoided any differential textures in the middle, but we have changed up the shape by putting in some dark oak planks. But along the sides going around these towers, what we've done is we've put in some stripped dark oak wood and a little bit of spruce wood just to give it a bit of colour. This is where maybe it's going to be most weathered, around the towers, because the runoff from the tower is going to hit that bit of the roof far more than the middle. So it just feels like that should be a little bit more weathered than the rest of it. We'll probably pop in a little bit of greenery as we decorate out the outside as well. And I've also added in one row of fence posts on top of a complete row of dark oak planks there. It just gives that extra rigidity to that roof. I think it really works. And I've added a blade edge to the top of the roof. I'm not sure if it works or not, but I'm going with it for now because I think that we need a little bit more shape. That was just far too triangular, and that works for me. What I am going to do is I'm just going to pop a couple of these blocks into that just at this edge, because that kind of maintains that weathering effect that we were talking about earlier, doesn't it? I'll do that same at the other end. So now we need to finish these gable ends, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in this wall with some deep slate brick just to kind of match up with that just there, and I'm going to carry it on with this stripped oak because I think the stripped oak works quite well, and then we'll try and decorate the stripped oak up just a little bit once we've got it all sorted. So what I'm going to try and do is try and recreate part of this a little bit, I think, with the stained glass. So I'm going to start at the top there, and we're going to bring in those. That's going to be the top part like that, and those two as well. I don't reckon that's too bad, you know. And I've surrounded it with oak trapdoors, put a little bit of oak trapdoor at the end of that gable that I liked having popping out, and some lanterns on it. And I think that's worked really well. Let's get it on the other end too. So the structure of our little fortress is now complete. We do need to make it look a little less blocky and a little bit more detailed. So we're going to do some rocks around it. We're going to do some texturing on these walls. And I think I'm probably going to need to add a little bit of extra detail and some windows in these towers. And we'll do the windows from the inside through this newly created doorway. It's just some dark oak with some trapdoors and a dark oak door. Little triangle at the top. Very, very simple to put together. Bring that inside. We've got exactly the same design on the inside just to emulate it. On the inside here, we've stripped this around with some upside down steps, and inside the window as well, just to add a little bit of light. But what we're really interested in are these areas here. Now, I don't know quite where we're going to put the window on this one, so I think if we pop that out there, that's probably quite a good spot for a window to be on the tower. So let's just look outside. Where does that bring us? Yeah, that's pretty decent. I like that. And then we're just going to keep doing that with a lot of the other towers as well. So to get the rockiness around the edge, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to lob in literally a load of cobblestone, just like this, just to make it roughly around, I don't know, maybe 5 maximum blocks up the walls, just to give a little bit of structure for the rocks, and then I'm going to texture it up. So now we've got our rough cobblestone area. I've left this bit as dirt because we didn't need to change that up. I'm just going to place in some other random blocks, things like andesite. I'm also going to use some mossy cobble and some stone, as well as their stair and slab variants, just to try and make a little bit more of a rocky outcrop type of feel. Needs to be quite textured for it to work. Thank goodness for replay mod, because otherwise I'd have lost all footage of me texturing up all of those rocks and creating the walls of the castle in a nice gradient. Unfortunately, these things sometimes happen, but you can see here I'm using bushes, I'm using rock, I'm using different cobblestone, mossy cobble, andesite, stone, stairs, slabs, and some bushes with a little bit of light to stop a little bit of the spawning that would happen, to create a nice edge around my fort. And then I'm texturing up the walls so as they are gradient, starting at the bottom with a lot more green, a lot more cobble, a lot more stone, as it goes up, getting smoother and smoother. So I need to place these maps back in the right spots, so I hate when they do that. So if I pop it in there, it's a lot easier to do it in survival, that's for sure. I've also made the decision to put some lighting on these stairs. I've not done this one yet, but if I come over to the other side, I'm just going to run across everybody's dinner table. That's terribly rude. Come across the other side. What I've got here is I've got lights on every 180-degree turn like this. And as I get to the top, you'll notice we've also got a bit of a challenge because we can just run straight over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this across and just finish off exactly where that goes. And then I'm going to get my dark oak fence. I'm going to place that across just to stop anybody falling off the edge. Just got to go and do it on the other one now. And I think we are done. I'm pleased with the way it's come out. The turrets are high enough just to poke free of that roof. All of that rock around the outside is looking like it's very natural. The entrance is actually in place, even if it's entering from one floor above that, which I plan to start with. And we've got just the tiniest little bit of decoration using the banners. This is a fort, it's not a castle. It's not going to be decorated, it's functional. There are people in here that want to do fighting, so why do they want to paint the walls?